Jaime, Bronn, Gendry, Tyrion and Sir Davos arrive back in Dragonstone. Edmure supposedly has gone back to Riverrun. Jon receives them and informs them about Daenerys' death. Tyrion is very saddened when he hears that Daenerys has died, and Tyrion has a chat with Jon Snow on the cliffs of Dragonstone. He tells Jon that he believed in Daenerys. He believed that she could make a better place out of this shit world, and that he could better give up on that dream. Further, Tyrion asks what killed Daenerys. Jon mentions that she died in childbirth and the Golden Company took her body to hand it over to Cersei Lannister. Tyrion asks what happened with the baby, on which Jon replies that their baby girl is alive and well. Tyrion smiles and then notices a single Greyjoy ship landing in Dragonstone. Jon and Tyrion walk towards the ship. It's no one but Yara Greyjoy, who has arrived in Dragonstone. She informs that she escaped Euron, but lost almost all of her army. Jon asks her about Theon's whereabouts and she tells him he probably didn't make it out alive when the army of the dead arrived. In this scene, nearby is an alehouse where Arya and the Hound currently are. They hear that Euron is king now, and the King's Landing will probably face another attack by Euron's enemy. Arya wants to help Jon fight with him, but the Hound thinks he's done with that shit for now. Arya says she doesn't care what the Hound does, but she'll stay to fight alongside her brother. The Hound eventually agrees to stay with her and help Jon. We then see Euron Greyjoy speaking with the commanders of the Golden Company in the throne room. He thanks them for bringing the body of the Dragon Queen to him and thinks it's a shame that they didn't bring her alive. Euron Greyjoy expects that a reckoning is coming from the king in the north and that they should strike first. Euron commands the new Maester to send a raven to every kingdom and write that all of the great lords should swear fealty to him, otherwise he shall attack them with his army of sellswords from King's Landing. In this scene, Jon, Jaime, Bronn, Tyrion, Jorah, Sansa, Gendry, Davos, Missandei, Samwell and Yara are present at the War Council discussing the message of Euron Greyjoy. Euron Greyjoy has declared himself King of the Seven Kingdoms after Queen Cersei's tragic death. Jaime is convinced that Euron is behind the murder of Queen Cersei and is furious. Yara agrees with Jaime. Davos states his opinion that this madman shouldn't be ruling the Seven Kingdoms and they should fight back with everything they got. Gendry expresses his hate towards Euron as he has taken the Baratheon seat away from his deceased family. Tyrion and Jaime want to use the Lannister army to fight Euron. Tyrion also thinks they should convince Daenerys' remaining loyal men to keep fighting for Jon and Dany's offspring. So we have the North, the Lannister, and the remaining Dothraki, Unsullied and Dragon fighting for them. It's Samwell who later addresses Jon's parentage again, but Jon doesn't want Samwell to tell the rest about this. Jon clearly states that he never wants to become a king. It's Davos who vouches for him. He tells the other that Jon is their last chance to save the people of Westeros from Euron Greyjoy's dirty hands, and he believes that Jon would make a good king. He is their only hope. The others agree with Davos and Jon accepts his newly acquired position eventually. After the War Council, Jon talks with his sister Sansa. Sansa is confused with Jon's parentage and finds it difficult to believe that father always lied to his family. To Catelyn, to Jon. Jon agrees with Sansa and asks her to take care of the North and of Winterfell, as she is the heir of Winterfell. She agrees and tells Jon she was planning to leave Dragonstone anyway. The two share a hug before parting ways. Missandei informs Jon that the old woman came to visit him in Dragonstone again. Old Melisandre comes to tell Jon she is ready to pay for her sins and reveals her identity. She tells the shocked audience that she's done her part and that the prophecy has come true. Davos vouches to have the witch killed at last. Gendry agrees with Davos. Missandei also points out that she tried to convince Daenerys to have her baby sacrificed to the Lord of Light. Jon proposes to hang old Melisandre, but Melisandre asks Jon to have her killed by fire, because that's the purest form of death. She's executed outside of Dragonstone, killed by dragon's fire. Ships are starting to leave Dragonstone to sail for Blackwater Bay. Tyrion, Missandei, Davos, Samwell and baby Lyanna stay in Dragonstone for the time being. Jorah, Gendry, Jaime and Bronn are seen boarding on the ships. Jon asks Tyrion and Missandei to take care of Lyanna if he doesn't return alive. Jon also says goodbye to Samwell and thanks him for always being loyal to him. In this scene, Euron is seen on the walls of King's Landing and sees how Targaryen ships are approaching. We notice Jon Snow wearing Targaryen or Stark armor and mounting Drogon above the ships. Euron bring forward the scorpions that were designed on his order. Lannister men first land ashore and start to invade. We see men of the Golden Company guarding the city walls. We can see the North Army joining the Lannisters and the Dothraki coming from the sides. We see Yara giving the best of herself with her axe and Gendry smashing a man's skull with his hammer. Euron commands his men to take down Drogon with the scorpions. He has 3 of them. First, they seem to fail to do so, but then Drogon got hit 2 times in his right wing, prompting him to land. The Lannister army, Stark army, and Dothraki fight ferociously and manage to break through the city gates. Jon tries to flee with Drogon to the dragon pit, but he sees that Drogon is hurt and can't fly properly anymore. Arya notices that dragons flying towards the dragon pit. Meanwhile, the Hound has joined Jaime, Bronn, and Jorah. Gendry and Yara decide to fight their way to the Red Keep, where they think Euron is hiding himself right now. Euron actually commands his men to go to Dragon's Pit to destroy the beast together with Jon Snow. Bronn and Jaime see Euron together with the Golden Company moving to the Dragon's Pit. Jaime starts to realize that Jon is in danger. He is the only one besides Tyrion who knows that there is wildfire left beneath the Dragon Pit. If Drogon start to breathe fire right there, the wildfire could destroy the whole Dragon Pit and taking everyone and everything with it. Arya and Nymeria now enter the Dragon Pit to see Jon caring for Drogon's injuries. Jon tries to remove the spears out of Drogon's wing. Jon is very surprised to see Arya there and wants her to leave King's Landing immediately. Arya doesn't want to leave Jon at first, indicating that she wants to fight with them. Arya strokes Drogon, commenting that she always dreamed of riding a dragon when she was younger, looking up to the tales of the Targaryen warriors. Jon smiles but strongly implores Arya to leave the Dragon Pit now, because they are in grave danger. They both share a hug before Arya decides to listen to Jon and leave. She is clearly upset to leave Jon. Yara and Gendry are inside the Red Keep, but come to the conclusion that Euron has escaped to the Dragon Pit, much to Yara's annoyment because she wanted to finish her uncle. Euron and the Golden Company invade the Dragon Pit. Euron starts to battle Jon Snow. Jaime hastens to the Dragon Pit together with the Hound and Jorah and some Lannister men to get Jon out of there. Bronn doesn't want to risk his life and stays where he is. Euron almost manages to kill off Jon Snow, but it's Jaime who suddenly stabs him from behind, mortally wounding him. Jaime tries to get Jon out of Dragon's Pit while Jorah and the Hound fight the remaining Selvsword to make sure Jon gets out of the Dragon Pit. Men of the Golden Company keep throwing spears at Drogon, and it's obvious that he's dying. At one point, Drogon unknowingly unleashes his fire, causing the Dragon Pit to tremble. Jaime realizes that Drogon has caused the wildfire to ignite beneath the Dragon Pit and commands Jon to run for his life. A gravely injured Euron laughs before his dying, telling him that they are all finished. Before Jon, the Hound, Jaime and Jorah can escape, it's too late. The wildfire consumes the whole Dragon Pit. Nobody makes it out alive. Yara and Gendry witness the wildfire explosion from a distance and watch with much horror. People are seen fleeing King's Landing before any more wildfire can ignite. In this scene, Tyrion sees a few Targaryen ships returning to Dragonstone. Yara confirms Tyrion, Davos, Samwell and Missandei about the wildfire explosion and that Jon, his brother and Jorah probably didn't make it out alive. Tyrion is broken when he hears the news, and so are Samwell and Davos when they hear about Jon's death. Samwell and Davos have some small talk, and Samwell asks Davos what he will do now. Davos tells Sam he'll probably return to his wife since he has left her alone for far too long. Samwell smiles and tells Davos he's planning to do the same. We then see Arya and Nymeria ready to board on a ship. Arya tells the captain that she's done with Westeros. The captain asks what a small girl and wolf are going to do in Essos now that there's peace in Westeros. Arya responds with Valar Morghulis. We see Arya's ship heading east right before there's a time jump of 3 years. The next shot is Sam teaching little Sam how to read. Lady Gilly Tarly, how she is mentioned now, is Lady of the Reach. Sam's mother, Tala and Gilly look to Samwell and little Sam and both share the love for these two. Sam comes in between and asks what they are talking about, but Sam's mother jokes that it was only woman talk. Sam and Gilly share a last scene together. Gilly has got good news for him. She is pregnant with his child. Sam clearly on cloud 9 when he finds out that he's having his own child with Gilly. He also makes Gilly sure that he will always regard little Sam as his own and he will inherit the Reach one day. In Winterfell we see Lady Sansa and Lord Gendry now being together. Sansa watches with Gendry, Edmure and Roslyn how Edmure's sons are sparring with each other. Edmure still holds the title of Lord of Riverrun. Sansa notices that one of Edmure's sons carries Arya's sword, Needle, and asks how he retrieved it. Edmure answers that his son William has found the sword in woods when they were hunting. He asks whether her sister is still alive, at which Sansa responds that she probably would be. She tells Arya always has found a way to survive somehow. Sansa and Gendry visit the crypts of Winterfell. Jon's statue stands in the crypts as well. Gendry asks Sansa if they truly belong down there. Sansa says it is the only place where Jon truly belonged. Gendry jokes that he wasn't named Jon. Sansa says that he will always remain Jon Snow to her. Sansa mentions that she has a lot of work still to do as she is Lady of Winterfell and Lady of the Vale by now. She asks what Gendry will do with Storm's End and now that it's left unoccupied. Gendry says he's planning to do something soon. After that, he's been acknowledged as a true Baratheon by the King Regent. And then we get to see the King Regent and Hand of Queen Lyanna Targaryen, Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion is watching how Missandei is reading a book for Lyanna about the tales of Rhaenys and Visenya Targaryen before she goes to sleep. Lyanna asks if her mother also rode a dragon, and Missandei answers that she was quite a warrior. The next scene, Tyrion and Missandei are seen in bed with each other and talk about Lyanna, that she's not the most easygoing child. Tyrion mentions that she's quite good at brooding as well. Missandei laughs and tells Tyrion that he shouldn't have expected otherwise with Jon and Daenerys as parents. Tyrion tells Missandei that she's doing an excellent job in educating Lyanna and the two start to have sex with each other. The last scene with Tyrion is one with Lyanna on the giant map of Westeros. Tyrion tells Lyanna she will rule the Seven Kingdoms one day. He explains that the North and the Vales are currently ruled by Lady Sansa Stark, the only remaining Stark child, and that she is married to Lord Gendry Baratheon, Lord of the Stormlands. Tyrion himself is in charge of Custody Rock at the moment, but the castle is left unoccupied still. The Reach is ruled by Lord Samwell Tarly, son of Randyll Tarly. The Iron Islands, on the other hand, are currently ruled by Yara Greyjoy. Lyanna asks about Dorne, on which Tyrion answers that Dorne is now ruled by one of Oberyn's. She has been married to a man who has always dreamt of owning a castle and having a fine young lady. Now, he has both of them. Tyrion and Lyanna walk around the Iron Throne. Tyrion warns Lyanna that the Game of Thrones isn't a child's play, and it's one that comes at a price. Of course, Tyrion assures her that she will never have to deal with the Game of Thrones alone, and he will always be there for her. Last shot is Lyanna and Tyrion staring at the Iron Throne. Game of Thrones end with a scene in the far, far north, in the lands of always winter. A single White Walker rides to and brings the body of Bran Stark to an altar. Remember that the Night King stabbed Bran in episode 2? He was stabbed in the heart with dragon glass. He performs a certain ritual and Bran opens his eyes. They are bright blue. The White Walker puts a crown on Bran's head and the altar slowly changes into one of ice.